All right. Welcome to the Baseball Forward podcast. Sitting here with Coach Dusty Hart, Coach Hart of Blinn College. Coach Hart, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing good, man. Appreciate you having me on.
Heck yeah. I really appreciate you joining us. I know the last time you and I talked, it was in the early spring it was like February-ish. And then Coach Hart went on to lead the Blinn College Buccaneers to the NJCAA National Championship. This guy won a national championship here in this past, was it May and end of May, Coach?
Yeah, for me into May, 1st of June.
So I want to say congratulations. I feel like I called that. Didn't I say like you were gonna win one in like the first 3 years you were there, or something like that?
Something. All I
So
know is we got to do it now. Now
yeah,
you're bound.
gosh.
We can't break the streak.
What did it feel like winning the national championship? How was that feeling after all the work you guys put in?
It's hard to explain. I don't know that I still can even kind of process it, but it's a very strange because that's kind of the expectation. So then when you actually do it, but it's not like an expectation where like how hard it is to get it done, I guess. But at the same time, you especially last year with the club we had and having all the guys back that had finished fourth in the country the year before. Like I knew we had the best team in the country.
Wow.
I mean, in January, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna win the national championship. But I knew if some things went our way and the balls kind of bounced the right way, that we'd have a shot. And then I'm just so happy for those guys because the guys, that's something they're going to talk about when they're 50 years old.
Man.
They're going to be forever the 2024 national champions. And, there's like 5 of those teams in the whole in all of college baseball. So it's pretty special, man. It gives me goosebumps right now. You just asked me about
I
it.
got him, man. I got him just thinking, like, I'm thinking what that would feel like accomplishing that. I mean, that's the top of the mountain in baseball. And I remember watching you guys on, I think it was on ESPN. I can't remember if it was on
Yeah.
ESPN, but I love that the NJCAA and Christopher Parker, shout out to Christopher Parker and the executive staff, but that they hooked a deal up and we're able to watch quality
Yeah.
junior college baseball now, because I feel like it gives a glimpse into what it's all about. And you see some straight up dudes. It's fun baseball to watch.
Oh, yeah.
Are pretty cool environment out there on TV in Grand Junction. Speak on that a little bit, Coach.
You can't even the people of Grand Junction, it's just an experience in all itself. Like it's so unique. I like to say it's like Farmington on steroids. A lot of high school kids that have been to the Connie Mack in Farmington, they know that's one of the best high school baseball experiences you can have. And I don't even know if it's 2, 3, 4 times the size of Farmington. I mean, you're talking 10, 12,000 people at every game.
Jeez.
The entire town shuts down. And it takes you 20 minutes to get in the stadium because there's 100 kids running up to all your guys asking for autographs and can I have your hat? And just
Wow.
some of the requests are kind of crazy, but I'm just so happy those guys got to experience that, especially winning it. I mean, you tell them, that those opportunities in life don't come around very often to be on a team that's good enough to actually get something like that done. But 18, 19, 20-year-olds sometimes have a hard time looking 6, 9, 12 months in advance. It's kind of right here. They look what's right in front of them, and so getting them to understand what all the hard work and all the practices and all the blood, sweat, and tears that they got to go through, it's worth every ounce that you got to pour into it. If not more. Like it's almost like a drug. I mean, once you get that experience, especially for us as coaches, like you'll do whatever you got to do to get back out there.
Man, that fires me up because I'm thinking for you. I want to know this if you remember it. you're sitting on that top step of the dugout, I'm sure, and that last out is made. What did you do? Start hugging people, crying? What were you guys doing?
I think the coaching staff just hugged. It was
Yeah.
just one big 4 or 5 person hug there while the guys dogpiled, and then it gets a little chaotic. There's confetti and the whole deal. I mean, Grand Junction's unbelievable. It's an experience I wish that every kid could get. But also at the same time, you're pretty blessed to get to experience something like that. I mean, those guys are in 10 years when their careers are over, and some of them it's the highest level of baseball they'll never play in front of 10,000 people
Yep.
again. you
Nope.
know so it's going to be a lot of those guys. It'll be the best experience they ever had playing the game. So I mean, how special can that be? I mean,
I
that's
mean,
just unbelievable.
experience of a lifetime. Seriously,
Yeah.
congratulations, coach. Seriously, to you, your staff, those guys, Blinn. I mean, I'm not surprised. I'm curious now. Like as you guys hit the fall, and does the does the does the excitement, does it carry over? Is it like a letdown? Do you feel hungover? Uh, what are you feeling right now in the fall? I know it's a brand new group. What's the mindset?
It's kind of overwhelming a little bit, just because it's like it's such a long ordeal to get back to where you were. And the fall, it is a bit of a letdown. Like you play in front of 12,000 people, and I mean, you want to talk about adrenaline spike. And then Wednesday, a couple days ago, we roll into Temple for our first ball game, and there's no umpires, and you're in t-shirt
Wow.
basically with a
Wow.
number on the back, and there's about 50 parents in the stands. And it's just kind of like you almost want to just press fast forward and
Yeah.
get to the postseason already. And
Yeah.
it's the first game of the fall. We got 20 more to go, and then you got the Christmas break, and it's a long season. But yeah, it is a strange feeling going out there, and the letdown. Even what's crazy is going from playing in front of 12,000 people and then winning it, and then 2 days later you're kind of sitting on your couch watching TV,
Yeah.
and you're just like, it's an empty feeling.
Yeah.
If you can, it's just like, man, dude, we
I
just
want to go
went from the
back.
yeah, you just went from the top of the mountain to all of a sudden, like, you're sitting on your couch and there's no games and no guys to talk to. And I don't want to say it's depressing, but when you experience something like that, you have some lows that come off those highs. Like, you are a little sad that you don't get to play again. Like,
Yeah.
I would love to go. That's the one time I wish we're at a 4-year school and not a junior college. Is
Run that back.
we don't have the Climby and the Tanneries and Lucas Davenports.
Yeah.
Those guys, I got to coach them for 1 year, and
Yep.
you know, happy for them that they're at LSU and Houston and Baylor and all the things. But man, I would sure love to run it back with those guys.
Heck yeah, man. What an experience. I'm curious, like you come off that and you got to build another team back, but like, man, you have such a good reputation in the game of, and I know you know this, but like building that championship culture. So what does recruiting look like after a national championship? Is everyone banging down your door? Coach, can I come play? Can I like because I think a lot of people don't a lot of the listeners maybe out here don't truly understand how good of a level of baseball that is. So, what is the recruiting like? Is everybody banging on your door? Are you getting just anybody and everybody throwing themselves at you? What does that look like?
No, I don't think it changes a whole lot. I mean, it's crazy because, like, I don't we don't lose a lot of guys to other junior colleges, but we lose a lot of guys to, like, Sam Houston and UTA and the UTSAs. They'll pick the Division One, and we just try to keep that relationship so that if it doesn't work out, that we're their first phone call. And we'll lose a guy here or there to some other. There's some really good junior colleges in the state of Texas, so I mean you're going to lose a guy to a couple junior colleges here and there, but I don't think it's still kind of, people don't really understand the level of junior college baseball to the extent that it really is, especially at this level. I mean, I get 10 or 15 emails every day from just guys, and that's every day, probably for 365 days a year, at least 10 emails every single day of guys wanting to come. And we do our best to try to lay eyes on all of them, but some of them you can watch the video that they send and immediately that that's not what you're looking for. And I think the hardest part for parents and kids to separate is like, that doesn't mean your kid's a bad kid or that he's done anything wrong. He might be the best kid on the face of the earth, and he's just not good enough to play for us. And hell, we might be wrong. We've missed on guys just like everybody else. So, my own son, my oldest, he's 19. He's a junior or a sophomore in junior college, and he doesn't play. And I still love him. And he's, you know what I mean? I think they take it personally a little
Very
bit
personally.
sometimes. And it's just like, some of my favorite players I've ever had play for me are guys that never played.
Gosh,
Just the relationships that you develop with those guys, because they're great kids and they work hard and you can trust them, not to burn you off the field, but they just weren't good enough to play for us. And it just is what it is. Not everybody is ready. And that doesn't even mean they, if you would have given them another 2 or 3 years, that they wouldn't have been ready. It's just right in that moment, they weren't ready. And so
what is the with the current culture and the climate of college baseball? Because I know I sit back, I'm a fan of it. I love it. I watch. It seems like it's getting really old. Like, I feel like I'm watching grown men out there more now than ever before at those like power fours, power five schools. Right. So with the current culture, the climate of baseball, college baseball, where does, like, are you guys getting, do you get a ton of like Division I guys that are coming back and saying, hey, they're not going to get out on the field? Are you recruiting guys out of high school? Are you getting kickbacks? Like, what is that? How does Blinn fit into all that current culture of college baseball?
It's probably a pretty good mixture. We probably there's really 3 things right now. You got the high school kids that are overlooked, if they are. It's really hard to be overlooked in this day and age. With the video and the perfect game and 5-tool and PBR, those guys do a phenomenal job of really identifying guys. So if you can play, I think that the old saying that if you can play, they'll find you is probably more true now than it ever was.
Wow.
Just because of the video and the internet and everything. We didn't have that 10 years ago. You could outwork people by going to watch games and just sitting at a field. I don't know if you can do that anymore. Then you have the guys that committed to the big schools or a Division I school out of high school when they were maybe sophomore, junior. They get the June, July, that summer, and they get let go.
Wow.
The Division I tells them they don't have their money or whatever reason they give them.
Yep.
That was probably, I think we got 7 or 8 guys in July and August that were committed to go Division I schools that got, I don't want to say cut, because I mean they have to follow rules just like everybody else.
Sure,
so, I mean,
sure.
if they don't have their money, it's not like they want to cut those guys. I mean, things happen, and sometimes that's just the way it goes. And you got 11.7 right now, and if you don't have the money, you don't have the money.
Yep.
It'd be a lot easier for all of us college baseball coaches if we could just give everybody a full scholarship. Now, the responsibility, I do think, is a little bit more like, you hate to see anybody get in that situation to where they get let go. But and then you have the kickback, the kid that ended up going to the D1 that maybe didn't get to play as a freshman, that didn't work out, he wasn't in the right spot or whatnot. And, those guys are usually 50-50. They're not the slam dunk that everybody probably thinks they are. I mean, there's usually a reason they got cut or got let go. If it's the kid initiated it, in other words, he just wants to play. Like he's realistic with himself, and he just knows that they got a sophomore, junior, or senior that's in front of him, and the kid he doesn't want to sit and wait. Those kids usually end up doing all right.
Yeah.
If it's the kid that is kind of like, oh, coach so-and-so didn't like me, I never got my opportunity, I didn't get a chance, all the excuses stuff, those guys don't tend to pan out very often.
Coach Hart on the Baseball Forward podcast, talking with Coach Dusty Hart of Blinn College, the national champion Blinn College Buccaneers. I never understood the excuses, man. Like the bad mouthing of coaches. Like just kind of the scenario you laid out right there is, I hope people hear this, is if you're making the excuses and you go tell the potential new coach about all the excuses, isn't that like a major red flag? Aren't you like, hey, that's what you're going to do when you get here? What do you think about that?
It's a pretty big red flag. If it's coming from the parents, it's kind of like, whatever. We're not going to hold that against the kid. But I can tell you, I mean, we're human beings just like everybody else. And if you got a parent that's kind of burning another coach up, the first time their kid does something bad, you can't help but think, man, that guy was hammering that coach at Wichita State or whatever school he was. And here his kid is, striking out 4 times in the game. And you're kind of going, maybe that guy at Wichita State was right and you were wrong, kind of type of deal. It's just human nature.
Yeah.
I mean, I think a lot of people think college baseball coaches or anybody in a position of power, I think, is supposed to be, above the line of whatever. And I'm just going, we're all human. So
perfect. Yeah.
We all make mistakes. And sometimes you do get kids that just aren't in the right environment. Even at Blinn, we've had guys that have gone to other schools and played really well. Maybe they needed more structure than we give. We're pretty laid back. We like to have fun. We're not sprinting around, and we're not running for every time they do something stupid. I mean, it's just it's a lot of more verbal stuff, but some kids need that. Some kids thrive in that environment where they get punished for every little thing. So there's really no right or wrong way to do the thing. I certainly, if I knew the right way to do it every time, we'd win the national championship every single year.
I was gonna say, Coach, yeah, right, man. You're a 2-time national champion, once at Grayson, once at Blinn. I'm like, I think maybe you do have the answers, and I think you're just holding out on us. I wanna ask you this. Like, I can tell, like, you are the epitome of baseball, like Texas baseball, lifer, grinder, coach. Like I guarantee I would have loved to play for you. So I want to know where that comes from. Like, where did the love of the game of baseball come from and get you to where you're at right now?
Whew, I don't even, man, that's a good question. I mean, some of my earliest memories were hitting with my dad in the backyard with a big old red wiffle ball bat. You remember those big
Oh,
old
dude.
thick ones?
Yep.
Um,
Those big old balls too. Yep.
that's all I wanted to do when I was a little kid was play baseball. And so I knew really, really early on. I think in high school, I knew I wanted to be a college baseball coach. If I wanted to play professionally, I wanted to play in the big leagues, all that stuff. I mean, that was the dream, and that didn't work out, which is fine. But I knew if baseball didn't work out, that I wanted to coach. I knew I didn't want to coach high school. I didn't like the idea of not being able to pick my own team. I don't
Yep.
even really know where that came from, to be honest with you. Because I was so lucky when it came to high school and college baseball, who I got to play for and kind of my mentors. I mean, just I just love baseball. I love going to practice every day. I tell a lot of people like them going to play golf, that's kind of like me going to baseball practice.
Man.
Like that is like I don't even feel like I have a job half the time. Um, at 1 o'clock I get to go to the field. We turn the radio on, and I enjoy being around guys that want to do that. And that's what's fun to me. Usually when we have guys that don't like the practice, and baseball practice can be monotonous if you let it. And those are the years that aren't real fun for me. Like when guys don't want to be there and it's kind of slow and all that stuff. Like I just love the game of baseball, and so you want to be around people that have the same interests as you do. So
Yep, that's right.
That's kind of our only expectation for our guys. We tell them is just play hard, play harder than the team in the other dugout, have fun, get after it, and we got the talent. The talent's gonna take care of the wins and the losses. So
Is it easy, like when you're watching a guy? Because I mean, you love the game. Is it easy to see the guys that love it the way you love it? And the goal is to put yourself around men like that, players like that, right?
I think that's probably the easiest thing is
How can you tell? How can you see it?
You can just tell. I mean, like even the first game the other day, like I told him, I mean, when guys are playing hard, running out every ball, having energy, not walking back from, even on like, let's say a double cut, ball down the left field line, third baseman goes out, shortstop, second baseman's a trail guy. After the play's finished, you'll see some guys that just walk all the way back, head down, and then you see some guys they're running back. Hey, let's get the next guy. Give me a double play. Like it really is that energy that's infectious. That's what people want to be around, and it goes both ways. I mean, if you got 7 or 8 guys on the field that are walking back, that negative energy is infectious as well. And those are usually the years that we aren't very good or haven't had, the success or maybe underachieved to the talent level that's on the field. That's the one thing, I guess, in recruiting that we try not to miss on. But I mean, misses are impossible. If nobody missed, we'd all be doing the things we want to do every single year. But I don't know that I can put a finger on it, but I can tell. And I mean, I've been doing this a long time too. So I mean, I think experience plays a role in that, but you can tell if a guy wants to be there, if a guy's kind of halfway in, 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Now that doesn't mean that kid may not have success, especially at this level. I've had a ton of guys that were just so uber talented that they could be halfway in, halfway out, and still dominate junior college. And the bad, you can see it coming, like it's going to catch up with them at some point.
Yeah.
And all you can do is tell them, stress to them that it's going to happen. And you know, it happens to everybody. I mean, at some point in time, no matter how good you are, you're gonna reach a level of baseball. I shouldn't even say college because some of them it's pro ball, where every single guy is just as good as you are. Where it's like looking in the mirror, and
Yep.
at that point, the talent you can throw it out the window. Like the talent's gone now. Like everybody's as good, if not better, than you are. So what's going to be the separator? And I don't know if this is right or wrong, but I've always said it's just your love for the game. Some people say your passion, work ethic, all that stuff. I think it's your love for playing. Like I feel like if you had Mookie Betts in this podcast right now with us and we asked him like, do you want to go play golf this afternoon or do you want to go hit? I believe that he would say, I want to go hit. Now he
Amen.
may say, let's go hit, then let's go play golf.
Yep.
And I could be totally wrong on that.
We're gonna
But
get Mookie Betts on, Coach.
let's go. I
Let's
would
go.
love to talk to that guy for about
Let's
an
do it.
hour. I just think that's what it takes. I think you got to love. Like to me, when people say they're working, I kind of chuckle at that a little bit because, like, dude, you're getting to play baseball. You're getting
Man,
to hit on the field. You're getting to take ground balls. Like that's not work.
it's
Like
so
work.
it's
Yeah,
a
that's the
dude.
opposite of work.
You said cranking the music up. I just think pregame, like early outs, the music starts going. I remember taking just ground balls and just like, oh, I have goosebumps thinking about it, and it is love, Coach. I mean, if you don't love it, I think it would be impossible to give the game what it needs from you for you to succeed at the highest level. Like for you to get to those levels, I always thought, man, you have to be madly in love with the game because it's like you got to sacrifice. Well, you're not really sacrificed because you love it, but it's um you love it so much you can't get enough of it. The work
Right.
the work will show the work will show the love.
Yeah. And I do think there's the outliers. I mean, there's the guys that were just so gifted from up above that
Yep.
they can make the big leagues. And but I don't think you can't tell me you can watch Shohei or Mookie or Trout, even Harper. You can't watch those guys and don't get that feeling of just they love to play. They
Yep.
love to compete. And you can hear it in their interviews. They can't even talk about it without a smile on their face, kind of like it's just you can tell. I mean, those guys are the real outliers because they're the Hall of Famers that have that love. You know, there's a lot of
Have all of
guys
it.
that have the talent and they're really good everyday players and really good big leaguers, but they're never going to be, Roger Clemens or Barry Bonds but
Yep.
they made a nice living off the deal for sure.
Sure, sure. I thought it was cool the other night when I saw, was it last 2 nights ago when I saw the dude Uchetta or whatever his name is, he was getting hit around by the Phillies and he decides that he wants to plunk Castellanos and Harper was on second and you talk about love. Those guys love the game so much that they respect it. Harper wanted to go get him from second base, but said he couldn't go sneak up from behind him. But you can absolutely see that love. I want to know this. You sit here with all your years in the game of baseball. You played it. You're coaching it. What do you wish you would have known earlier in your life about the game of baseball? What advice would you have given to a younger version of yourself?
Probably that I wasn't good enough. I wish somebody would have told me. But it's kind of strange because like my con my I thought I was the best player on every team I ever played on.
Heck yeah.
Whether that was true or not, probably not. But um, I still I look back now and go, man, I was the guy that I love to play and I love the game of baseball when I was doing it, but off the field, I wasn't all in.
Mm,
I had a lot of fun in college.
yep.
I was the life of the party. Uh, I didn't lift. Of course, we didn't lift really back when I played. I mean, we didn't even have team lifts as a
Yeah.
team on my first college baseball team. We did a little bit my junior and senior year. I just don't think I took it serious enough. I do think, and this is probably the confidence coming out of you, but I think I was good enough that had I been totally committed with the weight room and everything else, that I might have got a chance to go play for a while, you
Yep.
know. And the bad thing is, we'll never know. That's probably the regret is we'll never know. Like I didn't take care of my body. I was never in shape. I mean, I could run from first to third and home to second and do all those things, but I would never. I would say I was never in my peak physical condition to really give myself every opportunity to make it. And now I look back and go, man,
Yeah.
what would have happened had I really got after it in the weight room? Had I been sleeping 8, 9 hours a night? Had I been eating right? And maybe nothing changes. But the hard part is we'll never know.
You you
And
know
that's
you know
the part that's tough to
you,
swallow.
you say I hear you loud and clearly on that, and I feel like our generation was it wasn't as being a baseball player what kind of was not lifting, and it was expected to go have a good time and do the 12-ounce curls and not take care of your body. It was kind of part of the culture, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, uh I feel like now more than ever, we're so as a society, we're so in tune with what it takes to be the best athlete. I mean, we never talked about our feelings in like mental preparation and all that stuff. And now they're like, you have to have 9 hours of there's like formulas for it. So
Yeah.
don't beat yourself up there, Coach Hart.
Well, I mean, I would have loved to have all the
Same here.
things that they got now with the Twitter and Instagram and TikTok and all the just you know you can get so much information now. You have to be really careful with some of that information. But I'm a tinker. I'm still trying to figure out new things to make us better. Really, every day. I mean, I'm a big. This might shock a lot of people, but especially if they know me. But I love reading books about. Like I've read all of Augie's books. I've
Mhm.
read every book from any baseball coach, any mental skills training. Like I eat that stuff up, and I'm is obviously I've had some success, but like it's like I got to get back. Like we won it last year, great, but now it's 2025. Like what do we got to do to get back and do it again? And that ghost chased me for 17 years last time.
Wow. Yeah,
We won
man.
it in 2008. Maybe it was 16 years. 2008 to 2024.
Wow.
That's a long time. I mean, that's and that ate away at me almost, not to the point I wish we hadn't won it, but I mean, I was 28 years old the first year we won the national
Dang.
championship. Um, and then, even getting back to Grand Junction is hard enough, but winning it's extremely difficult. So it wasn't like I had unrealistic expectations. I mean, I know I may never go back. I mean, there's a very good chance we may never go back to Grand Junction. We may never win it again. I mean, there's a lot of really good baseball coaches that have not ever made it to Grand Junction. So uh, I feel truly blessed. I mean, I don't know why me sometimes. Like, I don't feel like we're not reinventing the game of baseball. I can tell you that. But uh, I know we'll find a way to get there. Whether it's this year, I don't know, but it's going to happen. We're going to win it again. It's
There
just, when is it going to happen?
Count it, man. Dude, and I love that you said you're kind of chasing that feeling that you can't you got to experience it again. I mean, that's what keeps you hungry. I mean, that you love the game, man. I'm for the folks out here listening to the Baseball Forward podcast, talking to Coach Dusty Hart with Blinn College, national champions this past season. I'm curious, how would you define success as a baseball player?
Oh man, I think to me it's just learning to learning to really control your environment and what's going on around you, and not playing to the scoreboard, not playing to the scouts in the stands, not playing for mom and dad, but more, can I go play the game the right way no matter what environment I'm in? Can I go compete every single pitch no matter what environment I'm in? Like, it's really easy to have that adrenaline and that energy when there's 40 scouts in the stands and all you can see is a radar gun, but that also can spike that adrenaline where you speed yourself up so much you can't even think, and you're just like Bugs Bunny, just going, 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 going. To me, the definition really is like, can you slow everything down to the point where you're 100% locked in, no matter if it's inter squad, practice, the mental part. I mean, the negative things that go through your head. Can you control that to a point where it doesn't affect the outcome of your play? Because we're wired. The brain is wired to protect you. Your entire system is wired to keep you out of situations that are harmful. So that's where those negative thoughts come from. Like, they don't want you to. Your brain doesn't want you to feel failure. So it tries to keep you out of putting yourself in those situations. So I've seen studies where just being aware of the thought, the conversation going on in your head and being able to control that and change it to where it's a positive conversation and not like, I suck, I can't get this guy, I'm not. It's just setting yourself up for when you do fail, the fall isn't so hard. And so I think that Zen moment kind of where it's just like, no matter what happens, you can move on to the next pitch and you're still competing, you're still getting after it, you're still playing hard. And because, baseball's hard and you're going to fail, but can you make an error and then the next ball gets hit right to you on the very next pitch? Can you field that ball and turn double play? Or is that fear controlling you where it's like, oh man, I can't make another error. Coach is going to yell at me. All the thoughts that go through your head, can you just jump back on the horse and go make that play and just keep moving on? And this past year's club's probably the best I've ever. I mean, you want to talk about resilient. I don't know that I've ever seen a more resilient group. Just anybody that watched that World Series would tell you we had some crazy ones. We had some crazy games and a lot of, like, we get walked off. We're in the undefeated game. It's us and Georgia Highlands. So we're the last two undefeated teams. We're up 14 to 13th in the bottom of the ninth. We got a 1-run lead. We get walked off. And I mean, it's like a moonshot. Like, this dude, it looked like a 2-iron. That sucker hit that thing.
I saw it.
So they beat us 15 to 14. We turn around the very next day. We're in the losers bracket. It's a 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock game. So it's hotter than, really, really hot. Coming off the first loss, we get up 18 to 8. So we're 3 outs from a run rule, and we give up a 10 spot.
Oh my gosh.
We're down 19 to 8 in the top of the ninth after being 3 outs from a run rule. And this is the day The day after
Oh my!
we
Who was
get
that
walked
against? Who was that game against?
Flodar,
Oh my!
Florence Darlington out of South Carolina.
Wow!
So we blow a 10-run lead
God.
less than 24 hours after getting your heart literally ripped out of your chest. You're 3 outs from being the last undefeated team. Then we blow a 10-run lead. We're down 19-8, and it's top of 9. Like, we're down to our last 3 outs. Somehow we figure out we end up winning 21-19. We score 3 runs, top of 9. I had to go to my number one to come close because we had, you're that late in the tournament. You got nobody. Everybody's running on fumes. He gets 3 outs. We go the next day, and it's just like it's still, think about the range of emotions that those dudes fought through, losing the most heartbreaking way you can, blowing a 10-run lead when you're 3 outs from a run rule, and like we're cruising in that game. Like, your game's about to be over in 5-6 innings. Next thing you know, we're down a run.
I'm thinking about from a player's perspective. When you guys are up 10, I'm in chill mode at that point. You guys are probably in chill mode. That's it. And did they start nickeling and diming? Walks, hit by pitches, errors? What was going? How did it spin out of control?
Those dudes could rake.
Just straight up hitting.
Flodar. I mean, they were, in my opinion, well, everybody was good out there, but they were really good. They had a really, really good club. They could really hit, and they were just as gritty and as resilient as we were. Well, not quite, because we got them in the end, but it was like nobody wanted to go home. Neither team wanted to go home, and we weren't walking guys. We didn't make a bunch of errors. Like,
they earned it.
They earned it. Like, they hit 2 3-run home runs. They're hitting doubles. And I'll never forget, I went out to change pitchers, I think when they just took the lead. And I think it was maybe the 7th or 8th inning. And, the catcher, for the whole infield comes in. And I was just like, hey, score 40. If that's what we got to do, then that's what we got to do. We're going to score 40. And there was not one set of eyes that wasn't just locked in. Wow. And every one of them was like, all right, we're scoring 40. I mean, it was just like no pouty, no feeling sorry for themselves, no, like, none of that stuff. And I mean, it's hard to even put into words what that means to you as a coach. It's just like, those dudes just got it. Like, it didn't matter what the score was. And that's back to your original question, like, what is your success? Like, that to me is success. Like, they didn't let anything, the scoreboard, the fans, the other team, nothing affected their level of focus to where they got negative, they were pouty, bad body language. It was just like, okay, now it's our turn. The ebb and flow of the game. Like, it's the other teams. That's what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to score runs. Like, you're going to give up runs. Like, but can you just keep going, and can you keep competing no matter what gets thrown at you? I mean,
man, what a special group of players. What a story. I mean, you'll tell that story until you're dead, and it'll never get old. Ever.
Thank God we got it on ESPN, because I don't know if anybody would even believe me. If
you know what, I want to say this, and I'm because I know I definitely watched the championship game, but I think I saw when you guys were up, and I was like, was it a night game? Yeah, and I was like, the one where you were up, right?
The one we got walked off was the night game.
Yes, but in that I remember I mean, that story will never get old, and what a beautiful story to have. Coach, I want to wrap this up, and I want to do a speed round with you real quick, okay? So a couple more minutes, get a speed round here, and we're gonna wrap the Baseball Forward podcast up with Coach Dusty Hart. All right, Coach, here we go. What's your greatest memory of your playing career?
There's probably two. We won the state championship my senior year at Lubbock Monterey High School, so that was pretty cool. Back, 5A was the highest level of high school baseball in Texas back then. So, uh, and then I hit a home run in Grand Junction. I was fortunate enough to get to play in Grand Junction on the first pitch of the game. We were visitors, so
Attaboy.
uh, that was probably my favorite memory as like as a individual memory, just hitting the first pitch of the game when you're the visiting team.
Oh, dude, how deflating. Did you know you got
Yeah.
it?
Oh yeah, I got it.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
It was pretty good.
I almost don't even want to ask you this one, but what's your greatest memory of your coaching career?
Well, to the 2008 2024 national championship. Two totally different teams, and like last year we were the best team. In 2008, I'm not sure we were. Like we kind of came out of nowhere. We just had a bunch of gritty, dirt baggy, just you're not gonna beat me dudes. And believe it or not, it was a lot easier in '08. We were undefeated. We sailed right through that thing and didn't even lose a game. Didn't even
Wow.
come really close to losing a game. And I think only one player on that whole team played pro ball,
Wow.
maybe two. So that was special. It was a different kind of special. Last year, I mean, it's the first time I've probably had the best team in the country in my mind, probably 5 or 6 times, which is only a handful of times in 24 years,
Yeah.
but it in my mind, like first of the year, like we're the best team, like and to
Dang.
actually be able to pull it off, it's another kind of special.
That's got to be the best feeling, walking out onto a field and knowing, hey, we're the dudes. Um, Greatest influences on your baseball career?
Well, my dad first. He was the one that would throw me. He would go out in the backyard with me for hours,
Mm,
and that's all I wanted to do was hit. He even built me a thing in the backyard, just man made two by fours at the end of the yard. Ran a rope across the top, dropped a baseball on a string, and I just used to hit that thing
dang.
for hours in the
Mm,
backyard. And it was cool because if you didn't hit it right, it'd wrap around and like hit you. So you had to like square it up to get it to fly down the line. And I've actually never seen another one of those. I don't even know where he got that from. But
we may need to
uh,
develop a product there.
yeah, I mean it did a lot for me as a hitter because I mean if you don't hit it, it's probably a little dangerous for nowadays probably. But
Dad was one of the greatest. Anyone else that stands out in your mind as greatest influences on your career?
well, Bobby Magel, I mean, maybe the greatest high school baseball coach of all time. At the time he retired, he was the winningest high school baseball coach in the country. I got to play for him for 3 years of high school.
Dang.
He was the head baseball coach at Lubbock Monterey. We could do a whole nother 3 hour segment on Coach Magel's stories.
Let's
But
do it.
still to this day, probably the best baseball coach I ever played for was my high school coach. And then I got to play for Tim Tadlock at Grayson. He was the head coach at Grayson. I really think the two of those two, because they were 180-degree opposite. Coach Magel was an ex-Marine,
Ooh.
born in the 50s, 40s. He had to be 80 when I played for him. And, you know, that guy just I thought he was trying to kill us some days. Like there were days where I was like, he's literally trying to kill us today. We ran so much and he was hard to play for. I mean, like you made an error, you were gonna hear about it. And Tadlock, total opposite, laid back, great dude, play for, had a blast. Two of my favorite years probably in college were playing at Grayson Junior College.
Wow.
But I got to see that you can do it both ways. I think that was the most important thing for me in my coaching career and moving forward was to see the two completely different styles. And Tadlock won 2 national championships at Grayson, and Coach Magel won, I think, a state championship in 5 different decades.
Wow. Wow.
That's crazy. 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. He won a Texas state championship. I mean, he's the best coach that I know of. He'd probably still be coaching if they let him, but
wow.
Maybe it was 4. I can't remember if they've won 4 or 5, but I know he I mean, to even win 1 state championship in Texas high school baseball is pretty great accomplishment.
Well, shout out to those guys. I mean, because they influenced your career, and the men that you're influencing. We're gonna get some of them on at some point, and they're gonna be like Dusty Hart. Last thing for you, Coach. One thing you would do to improve the game of baseball?
Ooh, that's tough. I think leave it alone. Probably be one of my big. I don't think that we need all the. Baseball was America's sport for a long time. I think they're trying to run some of us older coaches that don't necessarily use all the gadgets and all the stuff. Like we're kind of dinosaurs a little bit. Now we've implemented a lot of that stuff into what we do. We're trying to stay up with the times, but there's really nothing a computer can tell you about competing. And I feel like that's the one thing. It can definitely help you, the information, the technology, like knowing where to pitch guys, and knowing as a pitcher where your stuff plays in the strike zone.
Sure.
It's huge. But at the same time, what's the matter if you can't throw it to the spot that the computer's telling you to? And
good point.
Especially when the chips are on the line, like you got 12,000 people in the stands and the lights are bright. Can you go out there and execute that pitch where it needs to be executed? And that just comes down to your heart and your grit. And I don't think there's really anything that you need to change about the game of baseball. I mean, I love it the way it is.
I think that might be the best answer I've heard on that, because gosh, it's such a beautiful game when it's played the right way, right?
Oh yeah. There's nothing better than watching your team play really, really good baseball. By far my favorite thing to do.
Heck yeah.
I mean, I love watching guys go out and execute, hit the ball the other way with a runner on second. And I'm not even saying you got, people think, oh, we'll hit a ground ball to second baseman. Like, no. Hit a double in the right center gap.
Yeah.
Just
hit a triple to the right side. Yeah. Heck
and,
yeah.
Hit a bomb. Hit a bomb to right center. Just make sure the guy gets the third if you miss it. It doesn't have to be a given away at bat. You just need to go in there with the intention, I'm going to hit the ball to the right side of the field. So even if I get out, this guy's moving over to third base so the next guy can score him.
I love that, man. I love that. What a good philosophy. Well, I'll tell you what, Coach Hart, I really appreciate you, man. You're always so gracious, and man, you're just one of the good guys in the game. And like I said, you are the epitome of Texas baseball. So don't forget that. And I appreciate the time, man. Hey, congratulations on the national championship. Hopefully you and I will talk soon, but I appreciate you joining us today. And yeah, man, thank you.
Absolutely. Anytime, man. Just let me know.
All right, Dusty, we'll talk to you later, man.
Take care.
Take care.